What up, fight fans? This is Square Circle Productions, and this is my new rant, and this is the last of my Black Murderers Row series, and it's on Bud Schulberg. Okay, it just wouldn't be right if I didn't do a video on Bud Schulberg. For after all, he's the man that gave them the nickname Black Murderers Row. Anyway, Seymour Wilson Schulberg was born March 27th, 1914 in New York, New York. Among his many accomplishments as a writer, he was the man who gave the collective group of boxers Burt Lytell, Aaron Wade, Eddie Booker, Jack Chase, Coco Kidd, Holman Williams, Lloyd Marshall, and Charlie Burley the nickname Black Murderers Row. Schulberg saw every one of them fight, and he knew how dangerous each of these men were. All of them had a skill set to embarrass any of the world champions of their era at the welterweight, middleweight, and light heavyweight divisions, from the mid 30s to the early 50s. He did this as chief correspondent of boxing for Sports Illustrated, so he was a credible source. Okay, he also was an accomplished author. He wrote several novels. He also wrote screenplays and films. So, you know, the man was basically a second generation producer, because he was the son of film producer B.P. Schulberg. And he would impart a lot of that knowledge into his stories, you know. And he was always known for controversy and known for stirring up the pot, you know. He had to stand for a subcommittee on communism, which is laughable because he was in the Navy and he fought in World War II to help take down the Nazi regime. The problem was, you know, being a fighter himself in a roundabout way, he was a lot like the Black Murderers Row as well. You know, Black Murderers Row, their only crime was they was too good for their own good. So they was repeatedly ducked by the greats of their era. You know, if it wasn't for fighters like Ezra Charles, if it wasn't for fighters like Archie Moore, who actually fought several of the Black Murderers Row multiple times, you know, and took losses to them. You know, they got some victories, got some draws, took some losses to them, you know, and they went on to become champions themselves. I mean, had they not been given the opportunity to fight for world championships, you could say that Ezra Charles and Archie Moore would be also in that Black Murderers Row group. But they were able to get world title shots and make good of them, you know. But either way, Schulberg was a lot like that in the sense that, you know, he stood up to the establishment, and he always had viewpoints. He was brave enough to stand against whatever everybody was standing for at that time, and have his own mind on things, formulate his own opinion, you know. And basically, he just was a liberal in a conservative era. You know, so a lot of his viewpoints and philosophies was to the left. You know, and at that time, the whole Cold War was big. And basically, you know, they wasn't playing that. So anybody that didn't toe the company line, if you will, was looked at sideways. But, you know, basically, as a screenplay writer, he wrote On the Waterfront, which was an Academy Award-winning film. It was nominated for 12 awards, and it won 8. Among those was Best Picture, Best Actor, Marlon Brando, and Best Supporting Actress. Okay, he also wrote a movie called A Face in the Crowd, starring Andy Griffith, and he also wrote a movie called Nothing Sacred, which featured Carol Lombard, and Hattie McDaniel was also part of that cast. And I just want to basically say thank you, Bud, for doing what you did. Having the guts to stand up and see the talent that these men had and write about them in a time when they was just basically virtually ignored. You know, you had to really be a boxing fanatic to know who these guys were, you know. So, thank you, Bud Schulberg, to have the audacity to stand up to the establishment, give these guys this menacing nickname that stood the test of time, And now people in this era get to know who these great fighters were. And they finally got the props that they didn't get in their prime. So thank you very much. Salute. Peace out. One love.